can have intentions, but if it's not really harnessed in a way that it's focused,
Right.
where the energy from the past doesn't disrupt the channel of where that energy is trying to be focused and manifested, I think people don't understand that their emotional bodies hold all the memories of the past since they were small children, and there's a vibration to all of that. And they don't know about that, and then they get caught up in what I call stinking thinking, and that's an energy. And pretty soon, anything that they want for the future, the past is right in the present. The present attitudes are now blocking the future, and they go, why can't I ever get this, or why can't I ever do that? And they don't realize they're shooting themselves in the foot by their own perceptions, beliefs, and attitudes. Yeah,
Exactly right.
And from our
Okay.
perspective, what matters about intention, is it coming from the ego, the unhealthy ego, or the healthy ego, or is it coming from your heart's guidance? That's really what matters.
you know, it'd be fun is if you guys had a prop and gave them all these little kaleidoscopes, or a little one of those little small guys, just to bring the point that they
Right.
have to bring intention to the focus.
Right.
Okay, Dan, how important is to have audacious goals? I love that
Audacious-
word.
Big, hairy, audacious goals.
Yeah.
BHAG, that's a term stolen
Yeah.
from Jim Collins' book, Good to Great. For me, I think it's really important because it ties into the conversation we just had about intention. So if you can bring yourself out of the kind of the muck and the mire and
Yes.
the trivia of the day-to-day moment and step back and look at what your heart really is wanting to manifest, what you really desire, what you really want to make happen, that's bigger than you think you can accomplish, that's going to take more from you than you're currently exhibiting. And it's going to require you to develop some skills and to step through some scary moments that you might otherwise not be willing to do. But I'm sure you've had these experiences in your life, and I know Paul and I have. When you're able to do that and you step back and look, then those obstacles that were in your way before have been minimized. They're just trivial, really are not obstacles at all. And you're ready for the next bigger thing. So
I think people are afraid to be audacious because they're playing it small, very, very reserved, pulled back. Maybe some of them as adults are still worrying about what other people think versus caring about what they feel about themselves and healing those parts that are sad or depressed or whatever.
yeah, I think those emotions tend to be suppressed,
Yes.
and we're not aware. And we're kind
Exactly.
of living from here up. Trained that way in the corporate world for sure.
Big time.
And
Yes.
so by opening up your awareness to all the things that are going on and all the information that you're getting about your state of being and how you're really doing, and not pretending you're okay or saying you're okay when you're really not, allows you to be in the present moment that Paul was talking about a little while ago. And then that purpose for you, everybody's got a divine purpose, I believe,
Yes.
that wants to come out. You can get in touch with that, and that will tie into that intention, that BHAG for now, and gives you energy and it gives you motivation to move forward.
Well, I think we could probably even do a show on just audaciousness in this capacity. I think that we really need people to understand that how they're shooting themselves in the foot perhaps, and giving some tools and something that really help them understand that they can take back control in their life and get happy. I really believe that there's something exciting that happens in a human being when they're happy inside of themselves, especially when they can love themselves. Or something that shows up in the eyes, something that shows up in a feeling around, like what you said earlier about when you met him at that corporate event. He was sort of, I would call it, he was glowing.
Yeah.
But I think that we could talk about something like that, because everybody needs that. That's not just where you guys are. You could literally go into the private sector and be
Yeah.
talking about that. Okay. Paul, isn't business just about making a profit?
It's a prerequisite. You can't be in business unless you make a profit.
Exactly.
The question is, what are you making a profit for?
Yeah.
And if you're making it to, again, grow a business that actually contributes to the betterment of society, hey, I'm all for it. Let's go. Let's do it, and let's do it well. What the mischief occurs is when people make a profit, for the purposes of greed, to get to the chase, to cut to the chase.
There's a lot
And
of
that's
greed.
an unfortunate scenario because it really
Yeah.
hurts people, and it hurts society when that happens. There's a big company that I will not name on television that has been in the news over the last couple of years, and I know a consultant that worked in that big company, and they had a culture of being the boss. They didn't call him the boss. The person wasn't the boss. They were the demanding partner. And the demanding partner continuously raised the expectations, raised the bar, more and more results, more and more results. And when you read the newspaper reports about what happened for that company that's in the news, those demanding results got people to go farther than was appropriate, and so the company damaged society.
I think it's a virus. I think it's much more serious in our culture and around the world
Yeah.
than people may believe.
Yeah.
There's a lot of sacrificing that goes on, a lot of fear that goes on, because right now with the economy the way it is, people are putting up with things that maybe 10 years ago, 5 years ago, they would never, ever put up with it. And therefore, there's something that's missing within them that they don't have to stay, they don't have to put it, they have to have enough faith that they can go out and God
Right.
would direct them in another direction or something better, because we're not meant to be the sacrifice. We're supposed to be something, I want to say, a demonstration of some type of creation that gives, and there's a balance to it. But we're lacking this in our society. We can't shake hands with people and have a deal anymore. We've got to have all these contracts. People don't keep their word. People lie to you. You can't get anybody. Here's the big one. I think people out in the audience will be cracking up on this one. Well, maybe just because I'm bringing it up. You can't get anybody on the phone. I don't care if it's a bank. I don't care who it is. You're lucky if you get someone who speaks English, one. Two, you've got people who are looking for work, and all of a sudden you've got it on the computer. And there's a lot of people who aren't as savvy on a computer. So it's all sort of like we're like little limelings being caroused into something that's going to be controlling our lives unless we stand up and talk about it. Dan, why is the heart so important in a business setting?
Well, for the reasons we just talked about. If the ego is in charge all the time,
Yeah.
then it's worried about protection and protecting the self.
Yes.
And that means there's danger out there. And that means there's scarcity out there. So I have to be making sure I'm okay all the time. When the reality is, the real truth is, that's not true. There's plenty of abundance for everyone.
Yes.
And the heart wants to contribute, and the heart wants to serve. And in fact, there's been a lot of research done over the last decade or so that ties the heart as actually proves that the heart rules the mind in a way. And if people could allow themselves to listen, as Paul mentioned earlier, to their inner wisdom, that inner guidance that we have, the ego, not that the ego is a bad thing, but it wouldn't be running the show anymore. So that's why heart is so important in business, because it's the best guidance system that we all have.
It's the foundation of the guidance, can't say the word, guidance system. Did you know that in creation, when the egg in a woman's body is fertilized, the first organ that develops is the heart, and the next one is the nose, and that everything else is coming out of that, all the other limbs and all the other part of the organs are in a stage of development. I found it was really amazing. I never knew that before, that the heart and then the nose was first. And I found it interesting also that I really believe that God's intentions for our life, whatever God may be in other people, idea of what God is, spirit, is to come from the heart and come out the head. I think what's happened in our culture over a period of thousands of years is that we have had a reversal of that type of consciousness where, we're thinking in our heads and we can't get to our heart.
That's true.
And that is what is going on in all of these countries going bankruptcy, all the things that we're hearing about. I was so proud of Japan during their tsunami and their problems that they were experiencing, how they were taking care of each other.
Right.
They were making sure that each other was fed. They were doing so many things in nurturing and taking care of their fellow man. And I've asked a lot of people, do you think if we had this happen in this country that we would have anything similar? And everybody I asked said no. They would be afraid of the violence. They'd be afraid of this. I mean, you can imagine. Well, there's something wrong here. We've got to get back into the heart to come out of our head.
Right.
And I think our bodies will align with that beautifully physically also. There's something to that too, isn't there? Okay. Let's see. What is, Paul, what's your methodology to help people find their heart at work? What's something you can
Well, we
share?
have a practice that's like a mindfulness practice or a reflection or a meditation practice. It's called remembrance, and it's remembering that we have all the answers that we need inside of ourselves,
Yes.
and it's simultaneously a remembering that we are supported by the divine, that the divine is actually sending us, what we need in every moment, even when we can't imagine that we're getting everything we need in the moments that are of our trials and tribulations. But it's to repeat a sacred word for the divine or a phrase for the divine that is sacred to you, and it could be a different word for everybody. But it's
A code, a key.
It's a word. It's the name of the divine for you that says, "Help! I'm looking for guidance. Help me!" And it's just kind of repeating that name over and over and over again until the guidance or the message from our wisdom, makes itself known to us. So that's a practice that we use for people who are, actively intending to expand their leadership capabilities.
Do you think that we've lost, especially I've noticed it more in male culture, do you think we've lost something that's been sacred called ceremony? Because I know you guys are doing something that I would call it ceremonial, but you would not. But the fact is I'm trying to do a little bit of both here with the concept. I think if more men understood their connection to the earth and their connection to spirit and could honor that within and honor that is around, I think that our world would be a different place. And over the years, things have changed so much that ceremony that fathers used to give their sons, to me a ceremony, for example, would taking out a child and teaching him how to hunt.
Right.
As much as the mother teaching the daughter how to cook and how to sew and all of those things. That is not necessarily happening a lot in our society, in our culture. So we're missing those connections. And it's also a lot of breaking down in the getting together as a community. On some level, I think that I grew up as a baby. I'm a baby boomer. And I remember the incredible block parties and the 4th of July where people were taking care of each other and wanting to know what's really going on. When I say, how are you, I really want to know. But in this culture, it's just kind of quickly rushed past and then the conversation goes on and they're not really wanting to know. It's just become sort of a...
Yeah. I think that's largely true. And I think what you experienced as a child is also true, that does happen out there, and people are yearning for that.
They want it.
They want that community, they want that connection.
Yes.
And we're already connected with each other, but there's this seeming separateness that it's a decision to overcome. It's a matter of reaching out.